We are not having this conversation. We are not having this conversation. Yo, what is up, guys, gals, everything in between and out of the spectrum? My name is Joe Dirt, and as you can see, there's only 3 of us today. We are actually going to be doing something a little bit different today. We're actually going to do, since unfortunately Dom is locked up at work, he unfortunately will not be able to join us, and Lena is caught up in theater. We didn't want to squander the time that we had with all of you, so we're going to be doing a how did we get to know a couple of our newest cast members, which is Chigen and Thalamus. It'll be a great way to get to know them, as well as know where I came from and where my stance is on in the D&D sphere and how I got in to D&D. And if any of you in the chat have questions, let us know. But first, I want to go through our standard sphere of stuff and things. First off, I'd like to thank the Hero Approved stream team. If you don't know who Hero Approved is, follow those links in the chat. Unfortunately, that doesn't show up. Chat doesn't show up on stream because I couldn't fit it. And also I forgot to add Dratsum, but you should go, follow Dratsum as well. He's our newest Hero Approved member, and go hang out with him as well. So we love them very dearly. They're great content creators here on Twitch. They're just amazing beans, And I would like to thank our first sponsor, which is Raise Energy. If you're looking for a high-end energy drink, workout supplements, and or sleep aid, plus they have low-calorie snacks as well, use the panel in the description of this YouTube video, as well as use the, if you're out watching this on Twitch, use this little panel below in Twitch to go say hi to them as well. And you can, if you use code Joe Dirt, you can save 15% off. But also, if you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, I'm pointing to you, camera, that YouTube person. Like, subscribe, share. Hit that little bell so you get notified. That'd be real dope. And I appreciate you. And then we're going to thank our second sponsor, which is Legendcraft. Legendcraft is good old Canadian boys. They make actual tabletop accessories, as well as tables. So if you are an in-person D&D group, be sure to check out legendcraft.ca and use the code Joe Dirt for 5% off. They make high-end stuff. But on to something that I said. If anyone has been paying attention to Twitter, guys, have you been paying attention to Twitter? Well, specifically my Twitter.
Yes.
My Twitter is on fire again a little bit. Like, it's a little bush fire, not like forest fire, but a little bush fire. Do you guys know about a little giveaway we're doing? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Chigen, did you look on Twitter? Are you saying you don't pay attention to our Twitter? Chigen, is that what you're saying? You don't pay attention? All right, I know I'm kidding. If you look between me and Chigen right now, this this picture right here, yeah, you would see it. You would have seen it on Twitter. If you look up and you look here, do you see this picture? This one right here? Yeah. Yeah. We're doing a giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. It's for 500 followers. So once we hit 500 followers, we got a giveaway. I'm partnering up with my local game store here in the US, and they did something real cool. So we're gonna get rid of that. So guys, we've been talking about this for a little while now. So here's what we're gonna start with, the basic stuff. So here's what you guys are gonna get in the giveaway that we're doing. It's all coming out of my pocket personally to get people into D&D. If you guys can't afford D&D books, physical books, now's the chance, because I'm not giving away 1 player's handbook. I'm giving away 3 player's handbooks. But say you don't want to just be a player. Maybe you're just like, man, you know, I want to be a DM. I got you covered, because you're not only going to get a player's handbook, you're also going to get Dungeons Master's Guide. But then you're just like, well, Joe, how am I going to know about the monsters in the world of D&D and the Sword Coast? Don't worry, I got you covered, because you're also going to be getting a monster manual. I'll be giving 3 sets away of the core books to 3 people. And then you're just wondering, like, well, Joe, that's great. That's great. But what if I don't know how to play? I got you covered on that. Luckily, my local LGS is letting me borrow this. I'm giving away 3 sets of the starter kit as well, with the 3 core books. So what this is going to include is, it's going to include a set of dice, pre-gen character sheets, and a starting module. So if this is your first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, don't worry, I got you. I got you. You have pre-generated characters, you have dice, you have a module to run, you have everything that you need to, even if you wanted to create your own character, it's all here set up for you. But you're just like, well, Joe, what happens if I roll, you know, a natural 20? How am I gonna double my dice? Don't worry, I've got you. Luckily, our local my local game store, Anime and Things, who I am partnering with this is bear in mind, guys, this is gonna come in a nicer package. This is all our beta test material. This is their Lucy dice. So you're gonna get a set of dice. Look at how nice these dice are. Let me take this out of the bag for you guys. Let me show you.
Those look so addictive. I will tell you right now.
Yeah, look at these math rocks, guys. Look at how these math rocks glow and shine. Look at these math rocks. Look at that. They got like a nice like glitter and a purple to them. They're so nice. Oh, look. Oh god, I just threw it across the room. No. Don't worry.
That one is gone forever.
It's gone. No, it's here. It's still here. It's still here. I still have it. See, man, it's nice. And what you're saying is, well, what if I like these dice so much, Joe? What if I like these dice so much? What if I want another set of dice? Well, we got you covered there as well. Because we're partnering up with Misfits. Misfits of Menagerie is partnering up with the local game store, and they're actually making us a set of dice. So here you go. Here is the beta first look at the Misfit Menagerie dice. I'm gonna get real close for you guys. Look at these dice. See, they're all different colors, just like us. Look at these.
Nice.
See, you've got an orange and a yellow. You've got a silver and a red. I'm just saying, dude. You got some teal, and then you have a copper and bronze D4. Look at that. All these colors are inspired by the cast of Misfits of Menagerie. All of these colors are the colors that we chose and the colors that we like. Look at that D20. It's half teal, half dark blue. It's nice. I'm going to be taking some closer pictures of these and I'll be posting them to Twitter later, but it's real nice, guys. It's real nice. So if you are looking to do that to help us get to also they gave me a free D6 because I thought it was cool. Look at this D6. This one's I get to keep. I don't have to give this one back. But look, it's like a pink D6. It's like all splattered. I'm just like, freaking cool. But all of this is going to be sent to you. And you're also thinking like, well, you said that, you know, Legendcraft and your tweet is partnering with you as well. They're sponsoring you. That's what this is. So, this is the big one. This there's only one of these. This retails for $100, guys. $100, and you're getting it for free. Take a look at this. Take a look at this, guys. Look at that. Look at that wood. Look at that craftsmanship. Look at all the spells you could keep track of, guys. Look at that. Look at that. They're magnets. You can concentrate on spells and stuff, guys. One of you is going to be lucky enough to get your hands on this. All for the price of one follow. That's it. So in order to...
So that's not a steep price to pay right there, one follow. Come on.
Yeah, give us your follow. No, I'm just kidding. No, that'll do. But no, once we hit 500 followers, the giveaway will tick down. So once we hit that, I'm going to be happy to get that giveaway started. But we have to get there first. And I'm super excited about it. But other than that, my shilling is over. All right, now we can set that off to the side. Okay, now my shilling's over. How you guys doing? How are you guys doing? You guys do anything fun and exciting in the week that we were off?
No.
Playing video games.
Nice. Did you know that they made a Dnd Monopoly?
I heard about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check this out. Yeah, that's right.
So pretty.
It is. Check
Now
this.
I need friends to play Monopoly with.
Yeah. I kind of want to.
Don't get angry.
I know. Like the cool thing is they changed it from treasure to encounters and stuff like that for chance, and the chance cards and then the railroad cards, I believe, and then also you have 6 collectible tokens in there. They're halfling rogue, a dwarf cleric, a fighter, and stuff like that. Are their little the little movement pieces? I haven't opened it yet. But I'm super stoked about it because I mean they have like the Shadowfell as like a land card and stuff, and they have mimics and stuff like that. I'm super excited to pop it open and play. It's gonna be cool. Like I just thought that was neat.
The spirits will be broken with Monopoly.
Yeah, and you know, instead of you know throwing dice, people are just gonna start. It's gonna turn into a D&D campaign against the Monopoly man. His name is Mr. Monopoly, and he has a red dragon. I think that sounds right. Proper, right?
Sound that tracks. That tracks.
I mean, he's greedy and he sits on a hoard of gold. I think that tracks. I'm pretty sure.
Interesting fact.
Mm-hmm.
There is more Monopoly money printed every year than the U.S. Mint prints.
That's actually not surprising since everything is like digital money now. I mean, how many of us actually, carry cash? Yeah, you're 1 out of 3, bud. Like, yes, but yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. However, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. I think I'm gonna go last, and I think I'm not picking on you because you're the newest, but I'm picking you on you because you're the newest to the table. Thalamus, I'm curious. Me
Yes.
personally, I'm curious to, as well as anybody else, because we don't know much about you. Where did you start your D&D journey? Because I know you said you are part of the older. We were talking a little bit pre-stream. You've mentioned before that you are from the older generation of D&D. So I'd like to start with you. Like, where did your D&D journey really
So my
begin?
D&D journey started like when I was in grade school. My mom had one summer purchased us a box set, like the starter box set for second edition, and I still have the old D20 from like 1996.
Oh
So,
wow.
and that dice hates me.
Second edition, second edition. Let's be honest, second edition hated everybody, so that tracks.
So, yeah, well, everyone hates Daco. Everyone does.
I just
Don't
wanna
even.
clarify that it's Thaco the system, not Thaco from Dragons in a Dining Room. We love you, Joe, so much. We love that Thaco. Second edition of Thaco,
Yes.
though, that system can go fuck itself, though.
It's if you really want to think about it, that system is actually the system we're using now, except instead of counting down, we're counting up.
Yeah,
It's
but there were
it's math.
also
It's math with more steps in it.
yeah, but I mean, there was also the it was like I remember reading a pie chart, not really a pie chart, but a graph, like a graph
Yes.
of like if they're wearing this armor, like because I remember because I couldn't do quick math, I had to go okay, they're wearing this armor. This is what you rolled, and I had to like follow, like you know those multiplication charts in
Oh
high
yeah, yeah,
school. Like I had
yeah,
to like follow, and then if they're a
yeah.
monster wearing armor, you had to go over this way, and like it
Oh,
was
it was it was overly complicated. It was, but how how I always looked at it, what how I look at it now is as you're leveling, your Thaco goes down, which is basically your proficiency going up as it is now, and your Thaco is when you're trying to hit zero, which is the armor class, and zero is the better number. So
yeah.
overdoing it, I hate it
Yeah.
now, and it's like, yeah.
But I mean, like, there's also a thing where you could get like a negative 15 or something. Like, it was weird.
Oh
There's,
yeah, yeah. There's you
I,
could get negative 15 armor class, and you didn't have like you had like in the starter set you had one saving throw, but if you got into the more complex rules, there are like saving throws for different types of spell attacks. Like there was a petrify saving throw and polymorph saving throw and
yeah, and bear in
yeah.
mind, it wasn't just your charisma, wisdom,
Oh yeah.
constitution. No, this was a specific saving
These were
throw.
all arbitrary
Yeah,
by some guy somewhere, some ledger going, hey, should be this for this class, but not that for another.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. No, it was a whole thing. But sorry,
Anyhow,
sidetrack. My disdain for the numerical Thaco.
Andrew.
But continue. Sorry, sorry about that.
uh, yeah, that's basically where I started. I never played third edition, but that kind of seemed up my alley, but I never got into it at the time because there was no one around that seemed interested at the time. and then I went to play fourth. So this whole time I was just playing two with like a couple people and friends and family and everything like that. And then I went to play four and heard so much shit about it. And so I bought the books but never ended up playing it. And here I am playing fifth edition now.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
that is my entire life story. Um, you could be sad for me. Okay.
No, I mean, you also have to remember, growing up, like when we get to me, I share a similar sentiment. So there's really, I get where you're coming from, but Chigen, since you are now on our, on
Chopping
our,
block.
I guess, the flagship campaign for the channel, and you've been around, people know who you are if they've been watching the channel for an extensive period of time over the course of the last year. But now you've slowly became a regular, but now you are actually a regular on the channel. So uh tell us what your D&D adventure is, like what your, well, I should rephrase that. Your not specifically D&D, but your tabletop role-playing adventure. Start from the beginning.
Well, my first introduction to like tabletop and D&D was actually the Dragonlance novels, the first three of those, and it was before I even knew D&D was a thing. It was just like it was a gift from a family friend that bought the first three novels, and I read through those, and I'll admit, like it never occurred to me. I didn't really actually look and be like, hey, I should check out this Dungeons and Dragons thing. So it wasn't until 2015, 2016 Critical Role and kind of the resurgence of D&D with 5e was when I really started playing. And like my first campaign was actually playing through the Tal'Dorei um, adventures. Though sadly, because of school life and other things, we kind of fell apart. And then I've just bounced around since then until joining up with Joe.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, and you played some other ones as well. So go into that, like with the cyberpunk and things of that
Oh
nature.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've also played not like on stream, but I've played Cyberpunk. I've played Vampire the Masquerade, 5e, um, Zweihander, and I'm like thinking, I'm like, what else have I played?
Yeah, that's why I don't want to make it like exclusively Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah,
because we love all tabletops here. So
yeah. I'll admit, like Vampire kind of had an issue because it was right around the time I, have dinner with my family.
yeah.
So I would come in a little late. But I had admittedly a lot more fun with that than I had in Cyberpunk because I literally, anything that I could possibly have done as a character, as far as what was needed in the storyline, was covered by like two or three of the other players. So I just was literally sitting there the whole time until the DM was like, "So what are you up to?" I'm like, "I don't know. I can't do anything." Like we were holed up in an apartment after getting chased out of the in one of the players' characters' apartments because we had been chased out of the high-rise apartment that we all were living in at the time. So my character had none of his tools for what he wanted to do. So I
Oh
just
no.
until the game ended up ending, he was just sitting there twiddling his thumbs the whole time. So I
Oh
was like,
no.
ugh. That was one campaign where I'm like, I'm kind of glad it kind of just. I
Yeah.
hope one day to at least go back to the vampire because vampire was fun. Like
Yeah.
the intrigue of that is pretty interesting.
I should introduce you to there's a great group of people. If you ever have chance, look them up. It's and this goes for everybody in chat. McStabber Studios here on Twitch. They exclusively play.
Ravenia, one of the players,
Mhm.
she was in that vampire game as well.
Yeah, so they exclusively play World of Darkness themed campaigns, so vampire, and they do have a 5th edition show, but they mainly host vampire. They did Orlando, Chicago, Washington. They're doing Chicago right now, which I was a little sad that I couldn't be a part of, just due to how innately busy I am in general. But yeah, no, I just want to say that we're excited to have you on the main campaign. We're excited to have you DMing for us, Lamus, and we're happy to finally bring you on to a regular, consistent schedule, Chigen. Although albeit your internet is fucky wucky sometimes, but hey, we're happy to have you in any capacity.
Yeah, I hope one day that eventually improves. There's supposed to be a like a co-op that's coming in, but they're taking their time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it'll sort itself out sooner than you would think. But hi y'all. I'm Joe Dirt. Y'all know who I am. This if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. If you're in stream, then you definitely know who I am. If you don't, I play a lot of tabletops, and this year, in 2021, I decided to condense it down to one campaign, which is run by our lovely Lamus, the Misfits of Menagerie. So where I started actually was in, oh God, mid to late 90s. I started with a video game actually. It was called Pool of Radiance. It was a Dungeons and Dragons video game, which I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. I was looking for it. I've been looking for it. I found my old Yu-Gi-Oh card game like on disc still. Yeah, I found that, but I can't find the Pool of Radiance. But I that was actually my second copy. My first copy got broke. It snapped in half because I played it so much. But that was my first introduction to D&D, which the first copy wasn't even mine. I took it from my older sister because she was playing tabletops long before I was. So I didn't know what Dungeons and Dragons was. I just thought it was a cool video game that you could have 5 different people playing the video game at once, and you get to make cool characters in and go on an adventure, and you don't even need the other people there, so you can name the characters, and then you can choose their class, their race, and different things, like little things like that. And they would all have different, like, depending on the class you chose, they would have different story beats. So my first character was actually a dwarven fighter, just because I thought he sounded funny. He was like a get out of my way, just like the gruff fighter voice. And I'm just like, dude, you're cool. I would always try to make him pick locks because, I mean, why not? There was a chest there. I had a rogue on my party, by the way, and he never picked locks. It was always the dwarf fighter because he was the protagonist.
Those stubby fingers got you good for something.
I know they weren't. He was terrible at it. He did not do a good job. I didn't learn my lesson either. But later on, I actually played the tail end of 2E. So in the late 90s to early 2000s, I only played a few games, but it was too complicated and too annoying to play for me. Second edition was for me. I didn't find any enjoyment in it, so I ended up dropping it, and then I came back in 3.5. If anyone has heard the story of Zexal Skyborn, if you guys know, that's my Final Fantasy character's name. just FYI, all my characters and all my retainers in Final Fantasy are named after D&D characters. Uh, so he was my bard, and just like any other stereotypical first player, I was like, I'm gonna really, play the first character. He's gonna be a bard, and he's gonna be a half elf because stats. And who doesn't want to be, Legolas? You know what I mean? Except without a bow. And then I went into I played a little bit of 4th edition, like 1 or 2 games, but I didn't like the mechanics, so I switched over to Pathfinder. I played a whole bunch of one-shots in Pathfinder. I did, the human rogue, I had the edgy character, you'll never understand my backstory type of thing. I went through the whole loop. Yeah, I've done it all. I've done any beginner stereotype. I got it out years ago.
I'm still doing them, so
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's sometimes it's that old jacket that just fits right. You know what I mean? It just feels right. But I came back after playing a bit of Pathfinder. I took a long break because like I didn't know 5th edition even existed in 20, like it's been out for what, 8 years, something like that. I didn't even realize 5th edition was a thing. I totally forgot about D&D completely.
So
7?
I think was it 2014?
I don't remember. I
I
think
think so. I don't know because I actually picked up 5th edition like almost 3 years ago.
yeah. So I picked up 5th edition about a year and a half.
So Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I googled it.
Yeah.
September 30th, 2014. So it's
24
been out.
7 years. Okay, almost 8. Yeah, so I didn't pick up D&D until about a year, like 5th edition, until about a year and a half ago. And that's when now, like nowadays it's just like I want to have fun characters, but I'm what you would call a typical, like I'm a bit of a min-maxer. I love my beefy stats, but I don't want that to take away from my role play, because I like to role play. I like to cause chaos, in retrospective light as well. Because like story's a huge thing for me. That's why I like playing role-playing games, is the interaction portion. I like the drama of sitting and listening to other people's stories, as well as my opportunity to intermingle in the stories, as well as exploring a vast world that that our DM creates, and try to see what I can ruin and what I can't ruin. It's very much so fun for me, and that's why now I have a growing shelf of books and just things, and it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride to meet new people. If I would have never played D&D, I would have never met I've never met Lamus or Chigen, and as well as like Dom, because when I came back to D&D, that's how I met Dom. And he met because my 5th edition version of Zexo Skyborn is actually a halfling. So he's a halfling bard. And we'll get into how we build characters and what we view is, I guess, the best way, like our fun way of statting a character and whatnot. We'll get into that later. But yeah, that's all I have on my little origin story, if you will. So let's hop into do you guys want to start with what's your favorite adventuring type, or Is there something that you guys want to pinpoint or start a good starting note for the core of this?
Ooh, I will very quickly circle back since you touched on
Hmm?
Pool of Radiance
Ooh.
as your first D&D experience. My first video game D&D experience was Eye of the Beholder,
Ooh.
and but really my first role playing experience like ever was way back on the NES, the original Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior.
Are you talking
That
about the
was
movie?
no. Eye of the Beholder. It was like
Oh,
it
it's
was
a
like the grid-based type game, but it was done like in the view of Doom, so you were kind of crawling through tunnels, kind of like in
oh,
like
I
Square
see.
like that. Maybe like the old Light and Magic games if you're familiar with those.
Yeah, kind of like Gauntlet. It looks almost like Gauntlet. Have you ever played that?
I I played Gauntlet? I do
Uh,
not recall.
dude, that
I
was
might have.
I don't I okay, that's fine. Uh,
Anyhow, but
I
yes,
yeah,
but
I see. I'm looking at that Wikipedia right now. It looks very Gauntlet-esque in style. If you haven't, I would suggest you checking out Gauntlet.
my first real like video game role playing experience was the first Dragon Warrior where you had
Ooh.
to actually go into the menus to use the stairs and search and all that. It's like what?
What
Oh,
the heck? I've
the
never heard of these.
Dragon
Wait,
Warrior.
no, drag. Oh, wait.
It's on the NES. It was called Dragon Warrior, but now they go by Dragon Quest.
Oh, this box art looks real familiar.
Oh yes,
Oh, okay. I think I don't.
the
That looks real
the
familiar.
never-ending experience grind, the overly tropey save the princess from a dragon, and then my favorite part is when you face the final boss and he's like, hey, you can just rule the world with me, and it gives you the yes no, and you can say yes and game over.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah. I don't think I ever played that one. That's really cool. Yes.
I am super excited though about Dragon Quest Dragon Warrior because they're once again re-releasing number 3, which
Ooh.
I have sunk so many hours into, and they're doing it in that Octopath Traveler art style.
Oh, are they doing it like Octopath, where it's like the 2D, 3D? Because
Yes,
I
yes.
loved Octopath Traveler. Like it's like HD 16 bit or something like that. I think they're calling it whatever they called it. I really like. I didn't finish Octopath Traveler, but I need
I
to.
never played Octopath Traveler, but looking because I can't justify the constant $60 price bracket. It's like
You
no,
should. You should.
but
The music in Octopath Traveler is amazing, and not to mention the story and everything it's phenomenal. I would advise you if to give it a chance. I
I
really
will
would.
once again buy another game and not finish it just for
Uh,
you, Joe.
okay, good. You should. I mean, like I haven't finished it. Albeit I need to go back and finish it. But with everything that the just life in
Life,
general. Yeah.
life.
Dude, like I
I think
just
like
there's so many things I want to do. I just haven't had the time to sit down and finish it because I got over halfway through the game, and not to mention that game has so many hours of replayability. It's insane. But I would
Look,
advise it because the story is amazing and just it's a good game.
look at me right now. I am going on Steam, Octopath Traveler, and I'm going to favorite it so that way when
Yeah.
it goes on sale,
Yes.
I will buy it and not
Yes.
play it.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Go on, get it on sale. You won't regret it. aside from having another game in your Steam library.
Yes,
We all have
I have
over
way
500
too
games.
many. Don't make me regret my life.
But no,
It's been on a
it's
couple different consoles, hasn't it?
yeah, I have it on the Switch.
Yeah, I have it on I have a demo of it on my 3DS that I haven't played since I think Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out. Which is pretty
Yeah.
much the reason I played my 3DS.
Yeah, I have it on my Switch, and I haven't turned my Switch on in a couple months. Last time I turned it on was to play Animal Crossing.
Switch, honestly.
I love my
someone
Switch.
I'm sure someone out there is extremely angry at you right now for never turning on your Switch.
Probably because I have two of them. But
there
yeah,
are two people angry out there
Yes.
because you have two Switches that you're not using.
exactly. And I was half tempted to pick up the Monster Hunter one and leave it in the box. But I didn't buy it because
there will be a third person.
yeah, no, I didn't buy the that one because I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do that.
I can't
But-
do that to myself. I can't do
Well,
that to my wallet.
Yeah, no, if it like the thing is it's like $300, I'm just like, nah, like that's too much money to just, no. But no, it's cool to see that it's the diversity in games and everything like that, and especially with going so far back in the tabletop history, like they had a lot of games released for Dungeons and Dragons, but a lot of people they didn't know, they don't know they're playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, or
Even
reading
to
a
that-
book.
Even to that extent, right now, how many people know that Cyberpunk is actually based off the tabletop game?
Not very many people.
And then how many who played Cyberpunk are thinking, let's play Cyberpunk the tabletop game? Or
Yeah.
I'm gonna say with like Shadowrun. That's like a recent.
same Shadowrun with its resurgence like 5 or 6 years ago with the video games.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really good, by the way. I highly recommend them.
Yeah, and also with like the even with like Vampire has video games as
Yep.
well, and books, and it's one of those mediums where
Good sequel
yeah,
to Bloodline,
yeah.
and then Paradox shuttered the entire studio.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, even
Yeah.
I think Tyranny, the video game Tyranny, if you buy the deluxe edition or the another edition, you also get a PDF with the rules to play that as a tabletop game.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know
think,
that.
I think Path of Exile does that. It's
Really?
either I think Tyranny or Path of Exile, possibly both.
I've never heard of that. I've never seen anyone run a Path of Exile.
I
Tabletop.
have not Path of Exile. Pillars of Eternity.
Oh,
Pillars of Eternity.
My
My bad.
That does have a tabletop.
Yes.
Oh,
that does have a
I
tabletop.
didn't know that had a tabletop. That's news to me.
It's pretty much being worked on by one person being the game director,
Oh, okay.
and I have no idea what it like.
I
How
don't.
far along
Yeah.
he is with that.
That's news to me. That's
like-
cool.
I think Dragon Age also has a tabletop game as well.
Yeah, they have
Hmm.
one. It's under a certain rule set. And Torment Tides of Numenera is actually
Oh yes,
It's-
Cipher
it's
System.
half
Cipher System.
Planescape Torment sequel, half Shilling Monty Cook's Numenera rule set.
Okay.
It's set in the Numenera universe.
Okay.
I have the books, friends. We can play one day.
Yes. Yes.
It does seem pretty interesting. Like
It-
I still have not gotten very far in the actual video game. I just keep getting
Yes.
distracted by other things.
Story of my life.
It got constant distraction. I get that. I mean, no, that's really cool, and that's the huge thing is like, one day I hope to be able to, have the availability to record more, one shots, more like side campaigns and stuff like that, because that would be really, really, really cool, a cool thing to do. And it's there's a lot of tabletops out there that
Even if you don't like D&D, even if it just doesn't tickle your fancy, there are a plethora of systems out there.
yeah.
Legend of Five Rings, Savage Worlds, Zweihander,
Savage Worlds,
all these the video games with their side tabletop PDF
and
things.
yeah, and like the huge thing is, if you're into yeah, we could go on forever. And if you're not in, say you don't like, I know a lot of people don't like the combat system in 5th edition, which I get. It's very numbers heavy, and you're rolling dice and you're trying to hit big numbers and things like that. I love the World of Darkness is RP and story sided of doing everything. It's an explosion D6 type of system, so you have a pool of D6s depending on your proficiencies. So it starts out as 1, and then the more ticks you have in it, you get 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or how many ever D6s. And the more you roll the D6, it's the same with Zweihander, except Zweihander doesn't use it uses the explosion, but it's all D10s system.
100 D100 system.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
I like Zweihander. That's probably the most fun I've had playing in quite a while.
Yeah, I like Zweihander as well. Yeah, Zweihander was fun, and especially because, again, Zweihander is a heavy RP, kind of thing. It's like you have a class, you have a character, you can mix and match, and it's all describing the way that you attack, and doing and the way you want to play. So if you want to flourish your blade and spin around and gravitas, you can do that. However, Zweihander is also very brutal, as well.
It is quite literally the tabletop version of the Darkest Dungeon. You're not too married to your character.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I'm still gonna say it. Trent Coombs, he survived almost through the full first season, and then he got mutilated, but he still lived. He was just maimed almost all the way to death. He was blinded, and he couldn't walk anymore, but he lived. But it's very brutal though.
You wheelchair rolls his way into our hearts.
Worst run of like a first seconds of campaign or that campaign of combat.
I mean, we all walked in and we're just like, don't get attached. Just don't get attached. You'll be fine. But and like I said, it's a fun system, but as far as like a long form campaign, I just wouldn't be able to see it happening, just because you'd be rotating through characters so much. Like it would have to be the only way that would work, and this is strictly speaking from a streaming standpoint, as if it was like micro seasons. So anywhere from 5 to 12 episodes. That's the only way that would work, and you would go through multiple characters within those 5 to 12 episodes, unless
it's very much like a story arc driven system, more so than a campaign driven system.
Correct. And definitely, I mean, the system itself is fun.
Yes,
but I mean, it's one of those things where
that system.
Yeah, the director for that system, like I've spoke to him on Twitter, like he's an awesome guy. He's the actual like publisher of the Zweihander series. He loves his community so much. Like whenever you play it, he retweets it, and he's a good guy. He came out to a few of our streams, and he just showed love, and he's just like, I'm so happy to see people enjoying. He's like, how are you guys enjoying it? Like, just tell me. He's very passionate about his project, and I respect that. And it shows through his work.
Yep. I got that Flames of Freedom book coming.
Ooh. Yeah, dude. I'm just saying. Yeah, dude. I'm just saying. Like, we'll have to discuss doing some pre-records. Because, like I said, I'm down to do pre-records. The main campaign will always be the main campaign, but I'm definitely down to throw down some you know, one shots, some pre-records on like our off time whenever we have it, because I'd definitely like to be, I'd like to put together some high quality like the YouTubes would be nice. It would be really dope. But
Yeah.
back from the tangent though.
I am sorry, everyone.
Don't be sorry.
Give me some riddling.
No, don't be sorry. The tangent. I expect tangents. I like tangents. Tangents are great. I wanna get into settings like D&D settings, or like table. I have to stop using the specific term D&D, as it is where our basis is coming from, but I want to keep it in a broader stroke. What are your guys' favorite tabletop settings? Just like in general. Like, are you guys more of a sci-fi, fantasy, grimdark, like Ravenloft? Like Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy, or do you like modern? Like when I did
I will give Chicken the opportunity to talk first. So
yeah.
Admittedly, we haven't played too many, but I am kind of a fan of the sci-fi settings, because I've been playing, a lot of Mass Effect and stuff recently.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm partial to like sci-fi, but I also do like the high fantasy, kind of the standard 5e worlds that you tend to run into.
Yeah, not like specifically like Sword Coast in general, but like just just high fantasy in general.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
to use like Tal'Dorei or Wild Mounds as an example.
Because I have some. We'll get into this, like the things that we dislike about D&D. I have some issues with the Sword Coast. Let me tell you guys. We'll get into that later. Y'all hear about it, because I have a few issues with the Sword Coast, like and fifth edition D&D. I have some massive story issues. We'll get into that later though. But yeah. Continue. Sorry, we mentioned the Sword Coast and I had to mention that. But continue.
man on his apple crate is angry.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand on this hill and I'm gonna die on this hill. But when we get into it, you'll understand once we get into the tidbits we don't like about D&D, and as amateurs, or I hate the word veteran, D&D players, you'll
experience.
Yes.
Yeah, experience.
Yeah.
You'll know it's seasoned, because you never can have too much experience.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, you'll understand where my gripes are, and you might agree with some of them. But Chicken, continue. Like, is there anything else you wanted to add with stories, like as far as like settings and stuff like that?
As far as like preferences?
Yeah, preferences. Like, what do you like to, what would immerse you the most, I suppose, in a setting like that you would just want to soak in when you're playing the tabletop?
I hate to give the very like middle ground answer, but I'm up for anything. You know what I mean?
I hate that answer, but okay. Respectable, I suppose. God dang.
Yeah, I will admit, I'm
This is the hill
I'm
he will
partial to
die
like
on.
the high fantasy.
Yeah, that is the hill he will die on, because I will Highlander his ass. No, your opinion is valid, Jig, and I'm only kidding. But yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I understand where you're coming from with that answer, because a lot of times, especially, we're not going to get into like locations. I mean, I know the general location you're in. We're not going to give specifics, because it's the internet. We're keeping your privacy, but you don't have very many people around you to play. So when you can grasp at straws to play, I get where you're coming from that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's that there is no wrong answer in that situation. Definitely not. So, yeah. What about you? Lamus?
So I typically prefer like a mid low fantasy type situation where magic isn't excessively prevalent. Um, as far as like so Eberron has been one of
Mm.
my most despised type of settings because of the inclusion of
The
like that
Magitech.
the Magitech, the steampunkiness of it. It's just been something I don't like, but given like my in-house campaign and then when Dom said he wanted to be a Warforged, and Chigen also said that he wanted to be a artificer. It's not something I'm excessively familiar with and comfortable with and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But in my home campaign, I have someone who plays a Warforged, and I've I've been leaning into it a little bit differently. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've been opening myself to it a little bit more, but I definitely do prefer that like pre-Renaissance type of setting, and not really high magic. I mean I've always I play human fighters when I play, so
Yeah. The for me, I can definitely understand that. I enjoy. If anybody's been watching the channel for a long time, people know I like to roll a lot of dice. I like the clickety clack sound in my hand. I like to, hit hard. So typically, I get where you're coming from. Like, I'm more of a high fantasy person myself. Not excluding like magic or anything like that. The only low campaign I wanted to bring up, like, what about that charm person in my low magic campaign there, Lamus? Fucking, I'm gonna resort to magic. You dang bard. If you guys didn't know, like, surprise, this is for Chicken. Yeah, Lamus was a bard.
yes.
Yeah, he was a bard in Secrets of Chicago. It was funny.
Yeah.
It makes more sense once you think about it now, because nobody really ever specifically knew each other's class, pretty much. I mean, the early on people that were in, they knew each other's class because they built them together, because we had a scrappy, like, just, it was just a Zoom window, session 0. But for me, I lean more towards, I like my caster classes. As I mentioned, my first character was a bard, and I love the bard class. I'm a College of Lore nerd. Just because I'm not a lot of people know this on the internet, but I was actually going to go to college to be a history major. I love history in general. History is like, right now I'm listening to the audiobook on The Art of War by Sun Tzu, or Sun Tzu rather. And I do a lot of I listen to a lot of, like, I don't understand it, but like quantum physics, like the World Science Fair and stuff. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not I'm not really into quantum mechanics and stuff like that, but it's cool to sit there and listen to smart people talk and just go, "Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense." Because they talk down to like stupid people, and they make it make sense, like, and it's actually really good. So, like, with the learning about like the history of, World War II, the Cold War, and things of that nature, and when you put that into a fantasy setting, I really thrive in the fact of learning about the history of the world that I'm in. I haven't played a bard recently because I don't play the bard as the I roll to seduce. I play him as I roll to learn. I want to learn. Give me a book because I don't. I played a wizard only once, and that was with that was in the Keepers campaign. That was the first wizard I've ever played, and he was started out as a thaumaturge wizard, but he went to chronomancy because after the first session, because that's when the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount came out, and I said we aired the show before that, and I was just like, I really want to play the chronomancy wizard. Can I play that instead? Because that's the class I was gonna choose. But wizard to me was like it like being book smart and just being that just that on high level of intelligence isn't my thing. I like the street smarts of a bard and sitting there and just like, I'm gonna talk to this random bum on the street and I'm gonna learn, but I also wanna talk to this high ranking historical figure and I'm gonna learn. That's where I thrive in playing D&D is the world itself. Now Ragnar, he doesn't care about the world. Like he'll watch it burn, but he's gonna know that he's gonna be the last one standing because he's the best.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
He's also very arrogant, Lamus. If anyone hasn't figured it out yet, he's very arrogant. And pretentious. No, he's not really pretentious. He's just egotistical. If you haven't figured it out yet.
Self-absorbed.
Yes, very much so. But being a barbarian, this is actually the first barbarian I've ever played. So I normally don't pick barbarian just because I don't really like the idea of I'm just here to hit, and with my current character, I'm just like, well, he has to have more, which he does have more. But he's also a multi-class at the end of the day, so that's really where I couldn't justify going full barbarian. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna make him hit a lot, hit very hard, and have good story beats. Because if you like, the huge thing is like, I'm one of the few people that I'll fully admit I'm a min-maxer to my core, but I don't want to sacrifice the role play because I don't want to be sitting there while they're talking to a noble just going, well, what do you want to do? What? You know what I mean?
That's kind of how I am. I want to.
I
have,
roll
good
to stand
stats
there.
to help with my role play.
Yeah. Yeah, so and that's like the huge thing is like, going into smooth transition. Going in from, the way we like the areas we like to play in the like I've already mentioned it, like and we've already all touched on it a little bit except Chigen. Chigen, what type of characters do you like to play? I know you're a huge paladin fan. But what are the characters you like to play? Because that'll tie into a nice like like role play versus just min maxing.
Like, are referring to like as classes or as like archetypes? Stuff like that?
Well, you can do either our classes, archetypes,
One than the other.
yeah. Like you could
Well, I usually
be
tend to play like.
yeah.
Oh,
No,
continue what you're saying.
Oh no, yeah, no, yeah. You go.
Oh. I'm saying because I'm still not quite sure, but like I usually tend to play like. Lately, it's mostly like paladins and artifacts. I should probably play more clerics. I like that kind of religious or like tenet driven character. Like my first paladin was a Oath of the Ancients, and he wasn't really so much as protecting the forest as there was like one of the tenets was like fostering the light, and if my cat will move, oh, sit it.
Kitty. Jeez.
Farting?
Oh,
Sorry. And she's now rubbing her face against the laptop. They all like to do that for whatever reason. But like was more like I think it was like fostering the light or something. And it makes reference to all these like, happy things and like music and stuff like that. And that was kind of like his attachment and allegiance with one of the characters who was a bard. That's kind of where that came from, is he was holding to that particular tenet. And as far as Artificer, it's like a mix of different things, but I do like, the salesman aspect, which is kind of where I kind of borrowed my voice from for Osros. And that's about it as far as those particular characters.
And no, and that's kind of the huge thing is like when it comes into role play, and things like that. And as well as Thalamus, like you said, you like to play like the classic low magic characters, but have you been leaning into a little bit of the casters with your sorcerer and stuff?
So yes, so that's the thing. Like my very first class was in 2E. It was the pre-gen fighter. I'd have to look up the name. Anyways, it was the pre-gen fighter, and then I did very much lead into, like, as I learned how to create characters, I I started to lean rogue because I am dark and brooding in the corner. And but then at one point I ended up with like a box kit that like had all these rules for clerics and then druids. So I ended up playing one of those for a little bit, and then I moved back to fighter and melee classes. But honest as a forever DM, um, in the recent like handful of one shots and stuff like that, I played my first like exclusively caster type warlock in like a local game store, and then I had the sorcerer one shot with you,
Yeah.
which that sorcerer is actually based in this homebrew setting of our.
Oh no, he's gonna kill us all.
He is not going to be level 20, just so you are aware.
Oh god,
But
he's
yes,
gonna kill us all.
he is in that. He is very much in that setting.
Chicken
And
doesn't know.
then
Chicken doesn't know. I know. I had to DM through that. There's gonna be no mercy. Yeah, this is the level 21 shot that took far too long because we kind of broke it because of
because someone cheated.
yeah, he's coincidentally not here. No, I'm just
How convenient.
kidding.
I love you,
No.
Dom. I love you, Dom. It's okay.
Yeah.
I won't hate you.
Only a little
But
bit.
yeah, a little bit. I won that. But yeah, no, like in 5e, I've played more. I've only as a player, I've played quite literally a handful of sessions, and they've all been casters, oddly. So
Okay.
yeah, I got the warlock, the sorcerer, and then the bard.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are my only 5e characters that I've ever actually played, not as a DM.
Yeah, because like I started out playing a bard, and then I went blood hunter.
Oh, I take that back. I did play a handful of sessions as a human fighter
Okay.
in an excessively stereotypical manner.
I
And I
can
loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
I could see it. I could see it. But yeah, no, I've played a lot of like a lot of. There's been a lot of there's always been some form of casting because with the Blood Hunter I went with Order of the Profane Soul, which is like it was not a
Warlock
quarter.
adjacent.
Yeah, it's not even a warlock is a quarter caster. This is a third caster because you only ever get 2 spell slots, and then your Eldritch Blast only ever does a D10. That's it. You don't add your wisdom or your charisma. It just does a D10. It's pitiful. Um, but it's more of a fighter with it's a in my opinion is I use the old version. I hear the new version that Lena is playing is more balanced with like the Hemocraft dice. But still, the Profane Soul never really got a change aside from the rights. But the rights are very finicky to use. But I'm not a huge fan of the Profane Soul as a subclass, but the Blood Hunter class itself is really cool. It's like it's very Witcher esque, and it's very cool. But yeah, no, he just became an AC tank. I think at the where I left him off, his AC was 22, and by the time if he would have went to level 30, it was the end plan, he would have had an AC close to 27 or 30. Yeah, it was he was, and not to mention, I had a Cloak of Displacement, so as long as I never got hit, everybody had rolled disadvantage to hit me. And he also had mirror image because a warlock, so you would have to go through 3 other images to hit him, rolling at disadvantage.
So as a DM, what I would do is
Oh, it was all saving throws, by the way. It was all saving throws. Like no matter what, it got so bad. It was just like I need you to make a wisdom saving throw. Wisdom is my best stat. Okay, I need you to make a charisma saving throw. I'm not really good at charisma. Okay, strength. I'm not really good at strength either. And then it's just intelligence, and then just like a bunch of wisdom, and it's always taking half damage. So at the end of the day, I mean, it didn't really do much, to be completely honest. But at the same point, I'm just like, if I ever go up against he was a one-on-one kind of combat person. I got into a one-on-one fight, or like I think it was a 2-on-1. I didn't take any damage that whole entire time.
Yeah, that as a DM, what I would probably end up doing in that situation is I would be like, okay, I will attack you maybe 1 or 2 rounds, and then I will instantly go, all right, switching targets, your party is dead, not you.
Oh yeah, no, like the thing is, because he was eventually the feats he would have taken Sentinel, Mage Slayer, so that way no matter what you're focused on him, like to stick to him, you know what I mean? Because he was the tank, but at the same time, you also have to remember Blood Hunters hit their own HP.
Yes.
He only had 80 something health, but he always had to subtract 16 because he dual wielded blades. So like I did more damage to myself, and I like it was just a really weird like it's one of those classes.
He was just wait a couple rounds, and he would just like.
Well, no, because you like you don't do it to yourself every round in combat. It's every short rest. So but still at the same time, I made it to a point where I just took the HP down. But if I ever got knocked unconscious, I would have to do it again. And it was a very fickle situation in that just it's one of those things where it's like the class itself is great. Now the huge thing is the way that they roll with it now with the Hemocraft dice and everything like that. It's balanced, and the cool thing is the lycanthropy system that Matt Mercer set up by far is like it gets a gold star. You can tell that he took a lot of inspiration from WotC, and you can tell where it came from, and it's grade A. Just like their Ghost Slayer, and the Alchemist is really good. It's just Profane Soul. Just it's one of those things. If you want to have the spells, but you don't ever want to use them, and you just want to be a fighter, because a lot of times you'll see, because they're now an intelligence based class. Back then they're intelligence strength, but before it was strength wisdom. So now, like, but now, I mean, it's, huh?
Or is this specifically to like those subclasses?
Oh no, that's the whole class. I mean, you for the Lycan, I mean, you'd want to have good strength and dex, because you're doing a lot of, like, claw attacks and stuff like that. So you want good strength, but they're pretty strength based. And
Looked at that in a while. I was interested in Ghost Slayer.
yeah, I mean, I would definitely play it. And by the way, hi Cat, in the chat.
We have been raided.
We have not been rated. She rated a friend. But welcome to our podcast, though. We're vibing today. We're talking. If you have any questions for us, feel free to ask in chat as well.
I'll say
But yeah, no, like, my whole thing is, like, I like the melee fighter classes, because at the end of the day, he was a fighter. Like, I sit there and I joke around with people because of one of my magic items that Kemdir used to take as a blood hunter. He had an item called Give and Take. It's scimitar. So what Give does is, if you stab it into a person, and you say the command word, you guessed it, Give, you can roll up to 22d6 of temporary health. But on the top side, if you say Take, it does a radial damage of 22 up to 22d6, and you take half of it in necrotic damage.
Ooh.
And then everybody within a 10-foot radius of him, the original person, bear in mind, there's no save. You just have to hit. So you hit him, and the person takes 22d6, and then everybody in the surrounding area, and including yourself, takes half. But I was an Asimar because, typical, I wanted to be an angel-looking boy. I have resistance, so I took a third of that damage. So it's one of those things, like, but the thing is, if I crit, I could die, like, legitimately. There's a good chance. I always feared doing it and then critting, and then just, like, rolling 44d6 and rolling a really, really high and just straight murdering myself. Like, it's terrifying, because he didn't have that great of health, and he had no real, like, resistance aside from natural, race resistance. So it's one of those situations where, like, that's where, when min-maxing becomes a yeah. And not to mention everybody in the party around him, like, he had the most health by like 10 points. So, and that's why it's one of those things where I guess also, coming into, like, the barbarian aspect of it as well, with, my current character he's going totem barbarian, which, obviously I'm taking bear totem because he has resistance to every damage type while he's raging except psychic. Yep. Which is great. And all I need is a ring of psychic resistance, or if I would have made him Kalishtar, fucking let's go, natural psychic resistance, yeah. But no, I didn't want to min-max him.
I think I'd have to look, but I think, like, in the higher levels, the creating magical item, I could probably make one. Probably.
But that's the huge thing, is, like, when it comes down to it, like, now for me it's more of tactile building, because Rune Knight is really cool because it kind of fits that that tactile style of having little bits and pieces to add. So I'm really excited to bring him to the higher levels, because at the end of the day he's only a 3rd level barbarian and the rest is Rune Knight fighter. Like I told Lamus when we started, the first 6 levels are going to be rough for me, because I'm literally going to be going 3 levels into Barbarian, and then I have to go all the way through to 3 levels of Fighter, and then once I hit level 6, then that 4th level of Fighter, 5th, 6th level of Fighter, that's when I start to pick up. So by the time you guys are already going to be going like, yeah, Spling Spell, I'm just gonna be like, Rage, okay. I have the ability to hold 2 weapons if Lamus allows me to. Like I can I have the ability to eventually with Fighter I can dual wield, but I can't dual wield large weapons unless Lamus gives me the okay to use Monkey Grip, which is what we can lead into is how do we all feel about like homebrew feats and items and just abilities and stuff. Like for me, it's rough. I'll start since I do DM quite a bit. Uh, I feel it's fun to a point because there is a lot of homebrew that's out there that is a little sketch in my opinion, because a lot of it is it comes down to the power gamers be power gaming, and here's the sword to rule all swords type of thing. So it's like striking that fine balance as a tabletop RPG person of having something exciting but having it mean something to somebody, because there's already so many broken items in normal 5th edition D&D. You don't need to homebrew an item for it to be not broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially once you get to legendary items, not very many people are gonna see them. Like the Holy Avenger, for fuck's sake, like that thing is, dude. Like you can do 80 points at like take the way they homebrewed it, and we'll do Critical Role campaign 2. Yasha as a barbarian had the Holy Avenger. She was a good strike with that, out any resistance. She was rolling upwards from 80 points of damage in one hit. That's freaking nutty. Even at level 15, that's freaking nutty. Like, and she could just do it. Not just once, she could do it twice. She has 2 attacks. Freaking nutty, dude. Like, I think they were doing easily 100 points over of damage in one round. Like that was just bonkers. But the question is, like, how do you guys feel about like homebrew in general?
Like you said, within reason, like it can be a lot of fun. Like Monkey Grip is not inherently like a broken feat, in at least in my opinion. Like it just what is it, like essentially dual wielding large weapons?
Yeah, so like great sword, dual wielding great swords, like
Yeah,
anything.
two-handed weapons.
Yeah, so it's 2-handed weapons in general, and then if you're a halfling, you can wield like, so it's based off of proportion size. So if you're a small creature, it would allow you to wield a 2-handed weapon. So you would have your goblin, kobold, halfling be able to wield a 2-handed weapon without it being weird. Because typically if you see a barbarian halfling, which is a thing, and a barbarian goblin, it's a thing, they typically don't get the great axe because proportion size, like it's not quite right. I mean, there are still rules, like you could say it's a great axe but it's just a small one, if you really wanted to go that far. But I mean, it's in thematics that doesn't make sense.
That honestly, the great axe it's a great axe, but it's small.
Yeah.
That's actually the way I always view it, as because because if just because you're, I don't feel like gimping a player just because their class is their race is one thing as opposed to another.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, yes, if you want it to be that way, go for it. But if you're not like overly initiated, then I'll treat it as okay. You're small. You have a two-handed weapon. Yeah, I'm gonna treat that great axe as it's still a D12. It's still two-handed and all that. I'm not one to. I always view it as the rules are a guideline more
Yeah.
so than written in stone. I'm not here to be like, oh, you can't do that because of X, or you can't do Y
Mhm.
because of Z. Um,
Yeah. You're not gonna
I
race lock
am,
them just based on
yeah,
size.
I I am 100% total non-adversarial. I would say, as long as you can give me something written in paper, then
As long as it
um,
correlates to like your
yeah,
story that has
yeah.
meaning, then
Yeah,
yeah.
if you want, as long as you can give me something in paper, I'll go over it and then I'll be like, okay, this doesn't look broken. Check one. Um, it's not like totally out there. Check two. Go for it.
Yeah. It's
Go
it's
for
kind
it.
of like a thing of like, why are you it's one of those things where it's like you want a laser cannon, you do realize that plasma
Yeah,
lasers don't exist, right? But it's like
yeah.
no, no.
I'm like
Yeah.
like circling
Yeah.
back to the Warforged thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's not my thing, but but one of my players wanted to play a Warforged,
Yeah.
and I'm like in my own home setting, and I'm like, you know what? I will allow it, but it's not going to be like the Everon home Warforged backstory. It's
Yeah.
going to be more fitting to my own campaign,
Yeah. And
and and this campaign setting that I play at home is actually the one we're playing with as well.
I want to know if we'll
And
run into your home party.
we probably will not because we're on different continents. So
I'm gonna find a way to get to that other
so
continent.
yeah, I shared you the map.
Yeah,
That other continent is is on the lower corner. So,
I'm gonna find a way to that other continent. Oh, you better
oh,
He's
believe
gonna
it.
take a running start and try to just ride across the ocean on his axe.
maybe one day, someday, somehow, some way, some
Yeah,
way, some whatever.
you've already seen one.
Maybe I will be like, hey, to one of my players, like, hey, do you want to do a live stream session? Roll your character in. We'll do that for like for a one off. I mean,
Yeah.
that's always a possibility. But yeah, and I mean, so do you want me to divulge a little bit about my how I view Warforged in my home campaign?
Yeah, well, as long as it's not like again, it's
It's not like world breaking or
oh,
anything
okay.
like that or
Because I
anything.
still want to
Um,
explore the world, and I want to,
yeah.
like
So
I would love to. Now that we're talking about homebrew, uh, we can talk about like homebrew setting, and this is prevalent to the people that are watching our new campaign. So I would love to know, uh, not about the world itself. Obviously, I don't want to have a
well,
classic, slip.
yeah, I always view like as like the characters know what's going on in the world. Anything that's special, um, I'll tell the player.
Hmm.
But Dom is playing a Warforged, and when he presented his whole thing, I'm like, hey, I do Warforged this way, and then we did we did that off camera one shot with the fart holes. Uh,
They weren't far. They weren't. They didn't turn out to be fart holes. They were fart mines. Thank you very much. We had it. We had to get them. We had to get them OSHA approved by Micah. So Yeah, that you guys we never recorded it, so you guys will
Yeah.
never hear the saga of Ragnar's fart holes, but it was not of legendary status. It was
It
it was
is of legendary status in its own right.
yeah. I would love if you ever bring back like just like oh god, just one day
I will circle this back in. I swear to
dude,
God.
dude, like just one day we're just walking through a field and it's not even
Why
even a
does it
story.
smell so bad?
Well, no, it's not even like we're walking through a field and then all of a sudden you're just like, I need you all to make a dexterity saving throw. and then and then we all fail and we all just get in it smells like sulfur in here and it's
Smells
just a
like
fart
egg.
hole. Yeah, it smells like and it's just a random fart hole. But continue.
Anyway, so yeah, so Dom's like, hey, I'm gonna play this Warforged, and I'm like, I do it a little bit differently in my own home setting. So this is something that we've been exploring more in my home campaign. Is that Warforged they are robots, but they are infused with the souls of like people. So like someone was dying, they stripped the soul out of them to like save them from dying, and then they injected them into this machine to keep them going.
Are they robots in
So
disguise? Sorry,
they
transform.
are, yes, they are transformers. They do not turn into boom boxes or cars,
Dang it!
unfortunately.
No, they turn into carts and buggies. No, continue. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so that's my thing is like so I I like I felt such a disconnect with Eberron's Warforged. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it this way. The souls get pulled out, they go into like a little like a battery of sorts, and then they get put into this machine, and sometimes they remember it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's not just one person inhabiting that body, sometimes it's multiple. um, and then
I am Legion.
yeah, and then also circling around to it, one of my things is like, oh, people see gnolls as savage and barbaric and demon spawns and stuff like that. But going back into my like play history, one of the first characters I played, I rolled up a gnoll as a player character. So I always view them on my end as human human equivalent. And had I had a little bit more time and know-how with D&D Beyond, I would have actually plugged in a Null as a playable race, so any one of you could have
Uh,
played as a Null.
no, they have ways like there's
They did. There are some in in there as well, and
yeah.
I think Xanthar's, no, Mordecai's,
Volos.
Yeah.
Volos, uh, might actually have like stats for that as well. But
Also, when
yeah,
Tasha's came out, like there's an origin system, so
yeah,
you
so
can yeah.
but no,
Yeah.
I have like a specific like mindset of
Yeah.
like, oh, you get +2 to this, -1 to that, and
Yeah,
so on
that's
and
where
so
the
forth.
origin system comes in
Yeah,
because you can create your own pluses and minuses, and you can actually build out any real race. It's a custom origin system for D&D
yeah,
Beyond, which is really cool.
yeah. I just hadn't explored it enough
Yeah.
to be like, hey, you want to? I will open this up to you. Here is how you can do it, and then there you go. And you also have this extra little trait as well. But should one of you die and say you want to play a Knoll, let me know. And not that I intend to kill you.
Watch next
Not that I
session.
intend to kill you.
Watch next session. Ragnar dies.
Joey the Knoll.
Yep. No, that's cool. Like what
Yeah,
I'm
no.
also curious about, like talking about the Warforged and stuff. Us as players, we don't know a lot about the what is the world like? Like the
So
because where we are right now is very segmented because we escaped our cart, which we shouldn't have done. As you stated after, we
oh no
rocked the boat.
no no. You were going to escape the card. That was a foregone
Oh, okay.
conclusion on my end. You were going to escape the cart. It's just a matter of how you were going to escape the cart, and do what you might. I'll allow it. That's
Yeah.
always been my motto is yes and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so what would you like to know is my question.
What I would like to know is coming from our like think of it as our players, specifically the two that are here. So in the spectrum of Ragnar and Azros, uh, since my character, I'll ask for so while I'm talking, Chigen. Oh my God, is that turkey? Yeah, I am live, buddy.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh no, you sob? Yeah, what do you mean? Of course I'm live. It's Friday, bro. Uh,
What's
here's.
up, Turkey?
Oh my God, I should have rated you. Oh my gosh, boy, you know I'm live every Friday. You know I'm live every
I
Friday,
I
except two
think
Fridays.
I personally think he hates me is the thing.
Yeah,
So
I don't think so. He doesn't. I don't think. I don't think that's the case at
he
all.
doesn't know me, so
Yeah, he can't.
that's all it is.
Yeah,
That's all it is. He doesn't know me, so he can't hate me.
yeah. I mean,
That's how I
hate
live
is
my
a
life.
strong word, and I don't think he could ever hate you. But
No, yes,
here's
he can.
he could, but I doubt he would. But my question, as far as Ragnar, like this, where I want to start with, religion, because we spoke about this very briefly. If nobody knows, my character Ragnar, he is not your paladin religious. However, he does play to the Asgardian pantheon. So whenever he rages, and it'll get more prevalent once you see him start doing the rune knight thing, because he's not like your classic I'm a knight, I'm stalwart. No, he's still very barbaric, chaotic, and just if anyone had watched the old flagship campaign, they would have seen him at level 9 when he started activating runes, raging, and when his engine was already going. And it's like, my whole question for me specifically is, how does the Pantheon play in your world? And what kind of
So,
Pantheon is there?
so, um, this is like this is actually session zero type stuff. If you wanna go into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I
Ever write this down?
I
Uh, I mean, yeah.
Green.
It involves the
I
campaign, so I mean, you might wanna.
Oh yeah. You can anything you want to know, Chicken.
That's what I'm saying. Think of
Yeah.
questions, because this is
Like
also for
I am
us as well as
here.
for.
I am here. This is for the cast. This is for the audience. This is for anyone. Just throw it at me, guys. But I personally, as far as religion goes, I am probably the one of the least religious people that you can meet. Um, it's a subject that is I wouldn't say it's very touchy for me. I went to Catholic school. I grew up in Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
My parents never pushed religion. My grandfather was a Mason.
Mm.
Um, so it's always been something. Religion is your thing. I will never hate it. I will never disallow it. I will never disrespect it. It's not me. So I never pursue it in my campaigns. I never pursue it in pretty much anything. If you want it, it's yours.
Okay, so
Whatever you your character worships, whatever you personally worship, that's yours. That's not for me to touch. If you want, your character is like, oh, I love Jesus, and that's fine. That's not me. That's totally on to you.
and I should also
I mean,
specify with it as well as how do they interact in by the way, by what I mean as interact within the campaign is not so much like
that's
I love the
so,
J-Man and you're not going to sit there and just go,
yeah. I'm not.
I hate the J-Man, so you can't do this. Not like
Yeah.
that, but I mean,
No,
how do they
it's
interact as
so
far as like, you know, Pantheon to
Mortal
I am
realm.
so far disremoved from that personally
okay.
on my own end that that even like the the fantasy level of
Mhm.
it is so disillusioned to me that you do you.
Okay. So would you
You do you.
ever in campaigns bring
Like
a pantheon in to
like
like interact with the player?
I will, like, if you want something, I will do my best to honor it. It's just been such like a stale thing for me that like I've played a cleric, I've played a druid, I've it's just been something that's been so disassociated with like everything
Mhm.
and anything that I will. So like if you say, so I am aware of Odin and all that stuff, so I can inject a little bit into it, but it's so not me that I'm
Mhm.
not gonna like pursue it. It's not like gonna be like, oh, Joe's character wants to be like big into Odin. I'm not gonna be like, well, Odin doesn't exist in this campaign,
Yeah. I
so you
mean,
can't use him. I mean, a lot of the gods and everything overlap. So
we
I
gotta
mean,
hydrate. Thank you, Viper. Well, take
does beer count? Does
yes,
beer
yes,
count as
yeah,
hydrating?
yes, it does. Yes.
This is some Lord Hobo here because
Yeah, we count anything that's within your reach. That's a drink.
if
It
it is
counts.
liquid,
Yeah,
it counts.
exactly. uh,
This is the finest salt water ever.
drink it. But no, and like
Oh God.
my whole thing
Yeah.
is like
No, like
with the
I will do my best
yeah,
to learn whatever God, pantheon,
yeah.
make a real grounded in reality, totally out there. I will, if you tell me what you want, I will work with it.
Yeah, because I always like the idea of
I am such an unreligious
yeah.
person that
I'm one of those.
yeah.
I feel where you're coming from because I was raised. I actually had to learn classic Roman when I was a kid, and I had to learn how to write in classic Roman. It's a dead language. I don't know why I had to do that.
Yeah.
But I had to learn to speak, read, and write in Old Roman, and I don't know why to this day. I don't know. I don't. I've never met anywhere, or I did. I've never had to use it.
Oh yeah, no.
You
I
know,
mean,
and I'm the religion, and I'm me as Joe. I'm not super, religious. However, with the one thing I will say, as in D&D, I love the aspect of a pantheon and being able to not immediately interact with a pantheon, but having that having that
Effect.
effect. And I
Or
love
yeah, like
and
like
my
I
whole
think it's
thing
like
is like just like I would call me, if anything in real life, I am a weeb, but you could call me like a Norwegiaboo. I think it's called like a Norwegian weeb, like a Viking weeb. I love that stuff.
Norwegian.
Well, kind of. There's like, I think it's like called. I think people call them like Norwegiaboos.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
Norwegian.
like because there's a whole bunch of people out there that love.
Norse and
Yeah, and
like,
I'm one of
culture
them,
and
and
all that.
I love the culture. I love the,
I look like this.
yeah.
I look like this. People assume
No,
he's
and you're just like,
and-
no, I just don't want to shave.
yeah.
I've always had an
I'm
interest
lazy.
and I
Leave me
kind
alone.
of fell back into it with God of War.
Yeah, and that's one thing is just like I love the idea of having a pantheon, but not like, I'm not like the, it's not so much like the, paladin, like I must pray to this. No, it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's just like I would love to have interactions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I am 100% penance more so than religion. Like,
Yeah.
I am the friendliest Satanist you'll ever meet. I mean,
Yeah, but that's kind of the huge thing is just like I Viper, I have no clue. I can't remember, man. Like, yeah, you can't pull that on me. This was near like 18 years ago, dog. Like, I have not had to use that. Like, yeah,
come on. Expect this man to know Latin? Come on.
nah, dude. Like, nah. But I can
That's
and
why
did
that was
no.
a thing.
But
He's got you backed up against the wall, man.
no.
Fight or flight.
I'm walking left. But no, it's one of those things where it's just
I am
like
curling in a ball and crying.
yes. But no,
But
it's
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's just like I love the idea of, that having those interactions with a deity and a higher power, because it's also comes down to the fact of like, it's interacting with the deities that gives a lot of purpose and gives a lot of fleshed out to character, and gives them an end goal, gives them something to reach, because Ragnar has a specific he has a specific end goal, and depending on where everything goes, like he's very arrogant. He wants to be the best. He wants to be the strongest. He wants to be the beefy boy that he is. But
He wants to be the Pokemon master.
exactly. Except he wants to, instead of catching them all, he wants to kill them all.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those things where it's just like I'd love to see a pantheon. Not any. It doesn't have to be anytime soon, but especially with his backstory, the pantheon in a sense has a pull and a sway in his backstory.
Yes. I fully understand. Player handbook, I believe it says very early on that D&D it's not a religious game,
No.
but it is gods and whatever are very ingrained into the people. So I support that.
Yeah,
I don't-
just pull a Spawn of Armageddon campaign. Dude, freaking Viper, get out of here with that. Pull a Spawn of Armageddon and just kill them all. Jesus Christ. Get out.
Can.
Yeah, he
and I
can.
will.
He can. He
can
will.
and I will.
Yes. Everybody
No,
died. There are
it's
no
like-
winners, and at the end of this
The only
game.
winner is me.
Yeah.
No, I win.
Yeah, he won the DM. Surprise! The DM won D&D.
Yeah.
The literal god to the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, and that's what.
So I will say this. What is your stance, Chigen, on this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything like that, but
Yeah, because you do like to play your clerics and paladins.
As someone who has played a paladin and I guess a cleric, where do you stand?
Personally, I like most of the paladins I've played have been actually fairly like a-religious, to be honest.
I also approve of that. I mean, that is one of my things is if you cracked open the rule book to Pathfinder 2, they do not have a paladin. They have a champion, which is the paladin equivalent. It's just like it severs that tie between.
Yeah.
I mean,
I bet they,
everyone sees a
like
paladin as like religiously based.
Yeah, they call it
Yeah.
lawful stupid, which I don't necessarily agree. But
Is
I
that
mean,
the actual game, or is that just the?
no, like this is the meme of the classic.
Yeah.
I am a do-gooder. You must follow the law's intent. Like that's lawful stupid.
I wouldn't say lawful
Damn.
stupid. I will say lawful righteous.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, like that also comes down to a situation of, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not one of those things where it's not like I'm looking for a, you know, Bible beater campaign where it's just like, oh, you
yeah.
didn't murder this village. Oh, that marks against your God. No, nothing like that. You know, as far as like story beats and story prompts are cool.
The total irony of the entire you paladin, lawful good, and everything like that, and going back into the 80s with
the satanic panic, yeah.
with D&D being the part of satanic panic, and everything like that. I mean,
we're still recovering from it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and that's why it's kind of a fickle situation, and that's where it comes down to of, you know, being there's no point in time where it's just like I would want to, you know, enforce a, you know, religious belief or any sort of belief that is of anyone's religion, just like appeasing to one person or the group itself, unless it's a campaign that if the players wanted, if I was saying playing at a church playing D&D and they wanted it specifically to be, you know, insert religion here based, you know, D&D game, then yeah, go for it. But as far as like a home campaign, especially a streamed game, heck no. No. Like, no. That is a hard pass on me.
I 100% put it all on player earnest. I mean, at the end of the day, what you believe is what you believe. What you don't believe is what you don't believe.
Yeah.
What your character believes can be 100% separate and detached from what you believe, and it's a game.
Yeah, and I want to and the huge
it's
thing
a game,
is
have fun. One thing is one thing is another. You be that edge lord warlock, be that super Ned Flanders cleric.
Yeah, because this also brings to a good point of like warlocks and stuff, because the one thing that draws me to play a warlock is it being connected to a patron, you know, and like, you know, having Cthulhu as your, you know, patron that's asking you to, you know, have, you know, do something. Like whenever I someone plays a warlock at my table, I always want to make them like, I've had them do weird things like, I want you to steal that fish. Why? Because I'm your patron. I'll take away your powers. Steal the fish. Well, then do what with it? I don't know. Eat it.
That
you know,
that's
yeah.
another thing with warlocks.
You know, like I love the connection of the patron itself, because you know, it's not really even religious. It's pack based. But having like, that's the huge thing. Like with ASMRs, by Raw, they are supposed to be guided by a patron as their, you know, like compass, not their moral compass, just their compass and their guide. So that's where you define, where you, as an ASMR, you define who gave you your celestial lineage. That's one thing that I've always liked, is, you know, having that, you know, outer planar connection, I suppose, would be my huge thing. Not really a religion, but having that extraterrestrial, if you want to put it that way. And by the way, Viper, I love, we're gonna sidebar real quick. So by encounters, Joe, do you mean like seeing a burning bush and taking it to get a quest? Because no offense, but if I saw a burning bush, I'd put that thing out with create water. That's freaking hilarious. No, but
I will, that reference I will circle back to at another moment if we
yeah.
if we want to. I actually circle back to that on story elements.
Yeah, definitely.
because
We can do that because I'm not going to
I
beat
love
religion
that
into
type
the
of thing.
bush.
Yeah. No. 100%.
Burning bush, as it were.
Fire, burning bush, yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Religion, it's totally not me, and do you. But I forgot where we were at.
Story. You were gonna talk about story beats as
yes,
far as
story
like
beats.
Pantheon or
Story
like.
beats, well, this is totally like side skirting that whole so as far as story beats go, as far as like there's this whole thing about um race and like stigmatism and stuff like that. Like orcs being like, oh, they're representative of one culture or another, and that's kind of like a side skirty type of thing to work around. Uh, but I am very into story beats. May some things fall into tropes? Yes. May some things fall into I don't want to say bigotry would be the thing.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far. I sincerely wouldn't go that far. I mean, I feel like a
generic.
good story.
I would use the word generic.
I would say a good story is is ambiguous.
Okay.
The reason that so many people attach with Lord of the Rings isn't because like the orcs are evil. It's because the orcs are evil. It's not like who the orcs are or who the orcs represent. It's what the orcs represent more so than anything else. As we as far as my story goes, as far as the campaign is, it's not so as we dive further into it, it's not going to be like, oh, this race is subjecting this race to something else. It's these people are subjecting other people to something else.
Everybody's evil.
It's not so much everyone's evil. It's
everyone
more,
can be evil.
Everyone can be evil. It's someone sees value in someone else. Someone sees another man as property. Another man sees someone as leverage. Another man sees someone as a source of whatever. Fantasy storytelling leans heavily into tropes. And well, yes, the source material might be racist. It's how we use it. It's storytelling. It's how we build upon it. It's how we evaluate ourselves. It's how we evaluate situations. It's how we tackle situations. It's how we view each other
Yeah.
in a sense. Stop me if I feel I'm
No, I think I think
yeah.
where you're going with this, and in particular, is it's not so much the
It's
context of
not so much
where
like it's
it,
not so much the source. It's
yeah,
so much the
the way
how we
that you
use it.
interpret it. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
one of those things where it's just like I get where you're coming from, because Dimension 20, they actually did a really, when they did Monster High, uh they actually portrayed the orcs as African American, but they did it in a proper way. They outreached to a lot of, them of the, black culture, and asked, "Hey, how do you feel about this? This, how can I do this to where it's not, offensive?" They did their research. So that's the huge thing, is what kind of research are you going to
So
do? And
so
how the handling of the, the material you're presenting as a storyteller.
so circling back
Mhm.
on specific orcs and how you mentioned African American heritage and stuff like that. I never saw it that way. Like
Mhm.
even growing up, um,
Neither did I. I'll be
the
honest with you.
way at the at the furthest extent as this has become more prevalent in history is in D&D and culture and stuff like that is I I I could see some ties to Mongolia, like the history of the nomadic raving um, Genghis Khan type conqueror type situation. I can see that more like invoked through the imagery and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not saying it's right or
No,
anything like that.
it's also your
I'm saying
interpretation as well.
yeah,
Because like my whole issue with
like
it is a lot of people are imprinting that kind of stereotype
yes,
onto certain
yes.
certain
Just
races.
because
Yeah,
someone else associated with that with X or Y or Z, like even as I learned D&D growing up, I never made that correlation until someone's like, "Oh, well, X represents Y." It
yeah.
wasn't even at that extent. I'm like,
You're stretching there, bud.
you're saying X represents Y, but I see more Z and
Yeah.
W in it than X and Y. Um,
Yeah, and that's a lot of imprinting and
that's
how people
yeah,
interpret the base material. Because if we want to go back to the historic orcs this is all going to relate back to what I said earlier in the show on what issues I have with fifth edition Dungeons and
yes.
Dragons. If you want to go
Let
back
us
to
explore this.
if you want to go back to the original, if you want
Mr. Joe,
to,
Mr. Joe, Sigmund Freud here. How
yeah.
did your father touch you with D&D?
No, if you want to look at the classic orcs in fifth edition, a lot of them are represented as gray-skinned orcs. So hold on.
I've always looked
No,
at orcs from the World of Warcraft perspective.
this then that
Is
it's
like,
all, and this is all gonna wrap into
yeah,
that. So the orcs.
Chicken, how do you feel?
How do you feel
We'll
about
throw
the?
you under the bus. We'll
Yeah.
throw you in.
No. The orcs in fifth edition are all gray-skinned orcs, which are actually from a alternate universe. Because there was, if you look into the eastern side of the continent of Faerun, which is what you normally play on, nobody ever explores that. There's actually a portal that was open for about 100 to 500 years. That's where the gray-skinned orcs came from. And the fact is they are very much akin to the World of Warcraft orcs. They are stable, they are tribalized, they are intelligent, and they only reproduce with other orcs, and they will never reproduce with elves. Now the classic D&D, if you want to go back to 2E, 1E, 3.5, and things of that nature, the greenskin orcs are actually the ones that we will really never see because they are in the mountains outside of the Sword Coast. This is where my biggest gripe is. Canonically speaking, we would never meet a gray dwarf because gray dwarfs are either in the Underdark or they're in the the middle to the eastern side of the goddamn continent where we are not ever going to explore. And the fact that they depict them improperly is because their mentality is that of green orcs, not gray orcs. Gray orcs wear clothes. They have style. They have a certain class. There's actually a town right on the center north point of Faerun that is a cognitive city of orcs. They trade with dwarves, humans, and halflings and stuff. They have a legit society, but we will never see it because Wizards of the Coast will not publish more books out that way. And that's one of my biggest beefs, is that there's so much that there is to explore. We have Chult. Yes, sure. We have Chult. Cool. Fine. But we don't
We
really
have all,
explore.
like, the completely separate universes,
Yeah. And this is that's my biggest gripe with fifth edition is we only explore the Sword Coast. We explore deeper into Waterdeep. We got Icewind Dale. Cool. But that's just Icewind Dale. That's just up there. Where is I want to go to the City of Liches. Where is that? I want to do that.
So, as you mentioned, Sword Coast and Second Edition and all that.
Yeah.
So as a heavily influenced by Second Edition player, the main campaign setting was Mystara
Yes.
for Second Edition.
Okay.
And it weighed very heavily on very fantasy tropes like a damsels in distress and everything. And in Galantry,
Show off that cover. Show off that cover to the camera. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So Galantry is a city of mages, and Galantry is like a set of principalities in a country. One of the principalities is run by a gnoll or a kobold or something like that. And while yes, it is considered evil, it's primarily composed of orcs and gnolls and kobolds and all of those evil races, um, self-contained within this relatively neutral, agnostic country. And also in this country, there is a guy who is a lycanthrope as one of the heads of state.
Mm-hmm.
So just because something is viewed as evil doesn't mean they're evil.
Oh. And I mean, and that comes down to alignment and how,
and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then circling back to another one of the societies in that 2E is Keramikos, and they literally have a town or castle or keep called Fort Doom. I mean, how can you be less evil than that? There's the guy that literally enslaves people and kills people, and he's the younger brother of the overall master of this region. Um, tropes, people. They are story threads to pull across, and I mean, some of them are tried and true, some of them are beaten like a dead horse.
You walk into a tavern.
Yes, many a campaign starts. You walk into a tavern, and that's specifically why I started our campaign the way I did, because
Yeah, but we still got that shitty Skyrim reference, man.
yes, I took an arrow to the knee, but I took an arrow to the knee.
Yeah. But no, and that's the huge thing is at the same point, like tropes are there to build off of. However, I mean,
Yes.
it's kind of
Yes.
a situation where it's just how are you going to use the trope? How are you going?
100% circling
Yeah.
back to Mr. Burning Bush, Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Story
really
quality stories are quality stories for a reason. Stories that are retold, stories that are repurposed are done for so and such a reason. Don't don't abandon them. Don't hate them. Don't you can. Well, I shouldn't say don't hate them. Use them, mold them.
And what were you going to say, Chicken?
Yes.
no, it's just
Tell me, Mr. Master.
no. I fully agree with like everything that's been said so far. It's just like I'm glad everything was covered. Just how far we got from the whole like. So we were touching on the pantheons,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just kind of went bang, 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 bang.
That's the way. That's the way. Like an
I like it.
impromptu. You know. Yeah. Campaign. Podcast happens, man. We're just talking.
Yeah. Yes, Viper, you are hearing things.
Yes.
I name dropped you.
Yes.
Feel embarrassed, feel ashamed. You can feel whatever you want.
We accept you.
To draw
I
from,
accept
it's
you.
just like, you have
I'm
to-
sorry for you. All of the things,
Oof.
every emotion, ever.
Also, for everybody in chat, can you follow that man's Twitter? It's Thalamus861. If we get him
swear
to,
to God,
if we can get him to,
God, if we get 10 followers,
if we get 10 followers,
I will put a profile picture on
yeah,
that.
we need a profile.
That,
I mean, if we get 15, I mean, we won't get 15, but if you guys follow him on Twitter, he's at 6 followers right now. If you can get him to 4 more, we just need
people.
4.
Come on.
We need that profile picture, guys. Like, I'm just saying, if you guys can do me a solid, then let's go. Also, for everybody that's
lift me up so I can disappoint you.
Oh God. As also, if we can in chat, I'm gonna put in the YouTube. I will have this, and this will be uploaded on YouTube. But I will put it in the description below when I piecemeal this video together. But what I'm going to do is this is the I'm doing 500 followers. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So it's going to be 3 sets of the core books, as well as 3 sets of the starter guide, and we're going to be doing 2 sets. I will be uploading a video to YouTube in the next coming days. I've mentioned it at the beginning of the stream. So this is the starter set right here. So if you guys are at all interested in winning a starter set, as well as a couple of pairs of dice, and then also I will show this off since we do have a couple new people in here as well.
You can also get
Yeah,
a Dungeon Master Guide, a Monster Manual, and Player's Handbook. It will not be fabulously tabbed out like mine is.
Yeah.
So
Well done.
Yeah,
you
and then
can do
also,
that yourself.
guys, you will be able to get from our sponsors
Also,
at
that
Legendcraft.
super special.
I guess I think you're pointing the
I'm
wrong
pointing
way.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the
Yes. And then see, this is from
yes.
our sponsor over at Legendcraft. So we will.
Legendcraft. They're
Yeah.
cool guys. I do not know them, but they are very awesome,
Yeah.
and you should worship them
Yeah.
as a god.
Yes, in your pantheon. But yeah, this was
This
sent.
is your pantheon. The guys with the wooden medal and the spell tracker.
God damn it. God damn it, Lamus. But
I will
yeah,
make you all sad and angry at the same time.
I'm laughing right now. I do not feel
And
sad.
happy and all the emotions forever. Yes.
God. Yes. But yeah, if you guys are interested in winning that, we will start the giveaway at 500 followers. So let's
Follow him. Follow Joe.
Yes. Yes. Do the thing. Hit the follow button. But I'm super
Follow
excited.
Like and or follow, preferably both.
And they're all
We want to
free.
give stuff away.
Yeah. We want to give almost $1,000.
Gold!
Yes. Gold raid. Oh god, dude. Oh, I don't have it freaking on my keyboard. On my soundboard. God dang it. There's coins raised from above from the garage cache. I have the bit, but god dang it. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where the spell tracker Viper can be used for 3.5, so as well as Pathfinder. So if you're interested in winning those, I mean the books, you can do a giveaway, or you can give it away to a new 5e player as well. So if you guys are interested in helping out your boy, definitely do so. Consider spread the word of the stream, because it certainly helps. I want to give away free stuff.
I also want to be your whore, so
Yeah, dude, maybe I should just have you start shilling stuff for me. I'm gonna have you do a couple awkward ad reads. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
I will show some nipple.
I am trying to win you over with shiny baubles. Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Just so you know,
Mm.
I am wearing a white shirt. I only own one white shirt.
Oh my god, dude.
It's a bad
This is
t-shirt.
history in the making.
Yeah, this is history, dude. Yeah, I'm just saying, guys. If we can get him to 10 followers, you will take a picture in that white shirt, so it'll be immortalized on Twitter.
I will take a picture in whatever you want me to wear. I swear to God.
Oh my god, dude! They get you in a suit.
I will have to buy
Get
a
him in a-
suit.
Oh my god, dude! Just
will-
imagine if they wanted you in a 3-piece suit, and you had to go out.
This is
Well,
basically the
absolutely.
most dressed up I get. Come on, guys.
I'm sit the Borat.
Oh god.
I will wear the Borat slingshot for you
Oh,
if you
my
get me to 500 followers.
Oh my god, dude! I don't even.
500.
I don't even.
500 followers. I will find the Borat slingshot. I will wear it to you. I will make Joe cry. I will make Joe quit the internet.
Okay, guys, can you clip this and then put it in the Discord, so that way it's his verbal contract, because he can't. This is his verbal contract. If we get him 500 followers on Twitter, which I don't even have 500 followers, but I'm just saying, sometime in the future, he didn't disclose the time frame, so clip it. He's gonna have to wear a Borat slingshot.
Yes.
So
I will wear a Borat slingshot if I get you 500 followers
god damn
at
it.
infinitum.
Oh god damn it, dude. But watch, eventually it's gonna happen, and then you're just gonna be like, well, today's the day.
Everyone will be angry.
Dude, I'm just gonna sit there and just be like, I'm gonna start like crying from laughing, but at the same time crying because you're already white. I can only imagine how white you are, because you wear Yeah, I don't want to imagine. That's the thing. But now that oh my God, you're
Look
like
at that,
you're
guys.
you're
Get on my
you're
horse.
fluorescent.
This can be
You got the
total.
full-on farmer's tan.
Oh no. Hey, no areolas. You'll get me banned. Okay.
I
Yeah.
will perfectly cover my nipples.
Yeah. I'm just like no areolas. You'll get me you'll get me banned. No.
As a
No.
friend, I will get you banned.
Yeah, as a friend, you will get me banned for areola. But no, definitely if you guys are interested, please spread the word, because you know, I want to give away free stuff.
The shirt I was wearing 3 hours ago would have got you banned, so
No, damn.
glad I changed.
Yeah. Hey man, dude, the shirt I was wearing
As
3
a
hours
friend.
ago, the shirt I was wearing 3 hours ago would have gotten me banned. But
The shirt I was wearing 3.5 hours ago would have got me sad because I was still in work uniform.
oh, so same. Well, well, I'm not gonna say. You know what? No, yeah, never mind. We're gonna move on from that conversation. However, what I will say is, let's go into, I guess, the unclothing of how we feel about 5th edition D&D. That segue, by the way. How about that segue, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do 2 colors just like me.
What about the
Advantage,
fine?
disadvantage.
How do we feel about that fine line between, additions? Because like Viper said in the chat, 3.5 is better. But how do we all feel about 5e? And I mean, Chigen, you're not gonna have so much experience with it. So, but I mean, you can still give an opinion on how you feel about 5th edition as a whole. For me, I feel that 5th edition in and of itself is, I'm gonna take a hot take and say that it's not very good in my opinion, but it's the most accessible and it's easiest to learn. That's the ceiling of learning is very accessible, whereas 3.5 to 4, even, well, Pathfinder is actually easy to learn, but like with specifically D&D, like 2 is nearly impossible for anybody now to really play and understand. 3.5 is decent, yeah, but 4 is too convoluted. 5 by far is the most, I'm going to use this heavily, streamlined. But how do you, like, I'm gonna bounce this off to you, Lamus, because you have the broader experience. Then we can see how Chigen feels being mostly 3.5. So your opinion is actually going to be probably on the opposite spectrum to both of ours, which is actually a very good. I want to know your take on it.
Okay. All right. So I will say this about 5. It is very simple to learn. It is, for better or worse, lacking in terms of some rules. Um, but it is far from the simplest out there. I honestly have been looking a lot more into various more modern rule systems, and I will say 5e definitely strikes that middle ground. Um, while some people hate the very more or less arbitrariness of advantage and disadvantage,
Mm-hmm.
um, I will agree to that, but it is very much geared towards newer players and newer DMs, in that you're not adding them and subtracting and finding bonuses and negatives and all that. It's very it it's incredibly cut and dry while being vague enough to make it so that it's easy for anyone to pick up. And I
Hmm.
very much appreciate that. Um, your bread and butter is going to be building your character more so
Hmm.
than exploring the rules and the haves and the have-nots of what you can leverage and not leverage. Honestly, if you're gonna play D&D or any role-playing game, D&D is where to go.
Hmm.
5e is where to go. It's gonna be so much easier for you. Um, there's a reason that it's number one. It's simple.
Hmm.
It's simple enough yet complicated enough.
So
Um,
like the skill ceiling is
yeah,
is high.
it's I wouldn't say the skill ceiling is high. It's that it is it very much strikes that happy medium,
Okay.
and that is very much what is needed to get people in the door. There are systems that are much easier to uh, DM. I cannot tell you how much I hate the CR rating system.
Yeah.
Um, as far as things go, I mean, you can walk into a bar and a CR3 can feel like a CR5, or a CR3 can feel like a CR half.
Yeah. Or you could get a CR2 shadow. Yeah, that saps your strength.
Yep.
You're dead.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or
that
you
that
can
should
get,
that's
or you
and
can get
if
that CR1 zombie that just will not die.
hmm.
Um,
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's like I like with this is like
it is.
Viper is like Viper in chat said, 1 is good, 2 is okay, 3.5 is the best. Obviously there's favoritism. 4 we won't
I,
talk
I
about,
will. I
and
will
then 5 is
say. I will
simplified 1.
say. I will say. It is a very player-centric system,
Yeah.
as opposed to a DM system.
Yeah.
Um, I while I have never played a game of Pathfinder 2, I will say that feels, just by looking at the rule books and everything like that, that it is a very DM centric system more so than a player centric
Yeah.
system. Um, I've been looking at Cipher system, and that is probably the most basic system outside of character creation that you can
Yeah.
possibly play. Zweihander is very much by the numbers. It live and die by them. Um, but it's not like excessive rules heavy. What you get is what you see is what you get. Um, Savage Worlds I've been looking at, and I like what I see, but I don't know if I'm ready to run a game of it.
Hmm.
Um, Starfinder, I recently got the book and I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
It might be the setting. It might I'm not really a sci-fi guy myself.
Yeah. And that
Even
has
though
to have
even though
leanings
I
into
like even though I like Star Trek and
yeah.
very loosely Star Wars, but it's just the system isn't speaking to me.
Yeah.
Um, yes, 5e. 5e is, if you want to get into the game, now's the time.
Yeah, and on
Um,
to that point, Viper. Now the fact is that they're adding more races, so they're adding like the rabbit folk, the owl folk, fae folk, and they also have custom origins, so you can literally be any race that you want. You can make up, you know, a race about butts, and then have higher constitution than average. I mean, literally, like the only thing that's stopping you is your imagination. So the customization is out there, to be honest, and not to mention now that they in the last book, you with when Tasha's came out, they actually had to release and through an announcement saying that you don't have to solely base off of the races that are in the book itself. So this is a huge it's more up to your imagination. And on D&D Beyond itself, they have an origin creator, so you can create your race, your class, pick and choose if you want dark vision, depending on what you want and how you want it. But again, that's it all comes down to, it's not really even trying to convert you. It's just letting you know that the options are out there. It's just, depending on how if you want to actually look at it or not, that's on you. That's completely on you. But Chigen, talk to us, seeing as you are primarily uh uh speak to us as a how you feel about 5E as a person that's only really primarily played 5E. What are your likes and what are your don't likes, because you are the uh you're not the minority in this situation. You're actually the majority, because a lot of people only played 5th edition.
It's definitely very easy to learn system. Easy to learn the ACs, the DCs, everything like that. I do wish there was like a little more like crunch involved. I don't know exactly how I would change that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's it definitely is a very I'm sorry, I'm like I pretty much said all I could because I don't
So you want
as
more
familiar.
substance. So you want more substance into the into 5e, whereas like they're with it's from, correct me if I'm wrong. Let me see if I can like articulate what I think you mean. As far as like crunch, you want there to be more than just with adding more substance into just rolling through combat, because we all know combat can be a little drawn out. You want there to be more substance as far as potentially as the way that the mechanics of a character work, given some of the, like, well, we all know the classic ranger isn't very good. They made some upgrades to it, but as far as implementing more diversity into the already pre-existing classes, especially the old ones, is that what you mean as far as like crunch?
Yeah, diversifying, allowing a little more. This way, put like malleability with like the classes.
Yeah. Which I mean,
Um,
which they did
like,
kind of did with Tasha's, because they give you an optional spell list that you can take, and
yeah,
optional features that you can take instead of the standard 5e, which
yeah.
they are
I
making
did like
moves
those
towards.
edition.
Yeah, so I mean, they did add a little bit, but I can understand that you, as any player, you want more, more
Yeah,
flexibility.
and I like the like I think you can spend a channel divinity, I think, to regain a spell slot or something like that.
Yeah,
Because like my issue mainly with the paladins is like pretty much all but like a select few. It's pretty much here's a utility spell and here's a reskin the fear spell that pretty much
yeah,
works on whoever you're fighting. Like
yeah,
fiends, fae, was it fiends, fae, celestial, and stuff like that.
yeah.
it's like there's so much you could do with each of those like oaths.
And my only big
And-
issue is that everybody except Druid gets counterspell. What's up with that?
But Druid doesn't have counter.
I will counter that all with, okay, so everyone but Druid gets counterspell. I feel one of the biggest slogs and one of the biggest hindrances of combat is attacks of opportunity, and
Yeah.
how everyone gets them. Pathfinder 2, I feel did right by making it something you sort of buy into.
Mm,
Fighters get it by default, but not every class, not every monster gets an attack of opportunity. By
well,
default.
also the huge thing is everybody does. However, if you are using a ranged weapon, you don't get an attack of opportunity as well.
Your options for attack of opportunity are extremely limited, I should say.
Yeah.
As far as ranged classes go, Warcaster, yes, I approve of Warcaster.
Well, I'm just saying, as far as like if you're
yeah.
in melee range of them and they walk past you, and you're holding a bow or a crossbow, you don't get an attack of opportunity.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure.
I would actually personally have to look back at that and
You do not. Just like if you're a spellcaster, unless you have Warcaster, if you're a spellcaster, you have to hit them with your wand.
Oh yeah, I mean,
which we know as a spellcaster.
Oh yeah, spellcaster, you're hitting for like a D4 or whatever.
Yeah, but the same with it does say it does. Look at into the DMG. If you are using a ranged weapon, you don't get an attack of opportunity if you walk if a melee combatant walks right past you. But the huge thing is where it's the thing about it is, let me put this down to you. So we know wizards get counterspell, sorcerers get counterspell, paladin has counterspell, bards with their their magical secrets get counterspell, clerics have counterspell, rangers have counterspell, artificers have counterspell. Now, obviously, fighter, Eldritch Knights get counterspell. Warlocks get it.
I will circle back to okay. Ranger gets counterspell. Warlock gets counterspell. Yes, clerics get counterspell, but I have very rarely seen
the clerics. Clerics will never use counterspell because they have spellcasters.
I have rarely ever seen a cleric use counterspell.
No, I mean it's a
I'll have counterspell
the paladins. It's the Oath of the Watchers.
Yeah, it was Watchers.
Yeah,
I was like, do they?
Paladin,
but no, they do.
Warlock and Ranger. I honestly can. The only time I've seen counterspell used by a paladin is on Critical Role.
Well, that's because he was a Pallock.
He was but he's Pallock. But you're also, as a warlock, you have a very limited amount of spells, and they're always cast at max level, unless you're multi-classing. With, I'm not a fan of multi-classing, personally.
I think there's specific uses for it, but you have to build
I am not hating
stuff like that.
Listen to me. I am not hating on multi-classing.
He's hating.
I am not a fan of it personally.
Yeah.
But you can multi-class to your heart's content, but I personally am not a fan of it.
Again, though, you can argue.
Limited.
I was reading chat. You quiet you. Again, though, you can argue up and down about druids not getting counterspell, but they give their wild shape, which is basically full HP bar. I mean, that's why I say
that's pretty much the sole reason they don't have it.
wizards and sorcerers can counterspell.
That's normal. That's
Go for it.
obvious.
That makes sense.
Go for it. That's I 100% agree with that. Paladins, warlocks, and
Rangers.
rangers getting counterspell. They have an extremely limited amount of spell slots.
Well, the thing
yes,
is, yeah.
Rangers aren't going to use spell slots as much.
Yeah.
Paladins are kind of depending on, I would say, depending on subclass. Warlock, again, also depending on subclass, but again, it's always cast at the highest level possible.
Yeah.
It range. I honestly giving Paladin, Ranger, and Warlocks counterspell. If they want to take it, that's on them.
Oh.
I mean, they don't have very many reaction options.
Well, like with Rangers,
yeah.
Rangers have a
Ranger,
decent spell amount, but yeah,
they do have a decent spell amount, spell selection, like
because I would argue like Eldritch Knight Fighter is still along the lines of
that's like a 3/4 caster is how I feel.
Yeah. Because they only get up to like
them counterspelling, fine, but you only have so many reactions. So you only get one reaction. Maybe that's kind of one of the things is like people being like, oh, attack of opportunity. Maybe if you limited it to one reaction, okay, you attack of opportunity, so you fuck you, no counterspell.
Yeah, and like that's the huge thing is like with like Viper said, that you know you counter spell that you should know, and it also comes down to a spell you should know and instant spells. But at the same point, I mean, a lot of the spells take an action to cast. So
yeah, like I would honestly, if rules aside, if you were to say bonus action spell can't be counterspelled, I would say that's fine. Because like a bonus action.
Yeah, but you have to also understand like
versus like
and the thing that I would argue is just because you don't know the spell, if you are a caster, you know what the pool of I guess for lack of a better term mana is being or arcana is being pulled from the weave. You know what the weave looks like because you tap into the weave yourself. You don't need to know what the spell is or the hand gesture or the words. You can understand the weave and you understand they're pulling a spell, and depending on how big the spell is, like if you can see them casting a 9th level fireball and you don't know what fireball is, I'm using random things here, but you know it's going to be a big spell.
You know someone's casting something, yeah.
Yeah, and if you see them, do Dimension Door, it's the same thing there. But now the one thing that I would say is we'll ring back to, we'll do another circle, Critical Role. That when they counterspelled items, that is one thing that I had an issue with, is because the person is not casting. Yeah. If you looked at this is spoil. We're going
the last episode.
Yeah. So if we're no, they did it twice. So if you want to take the last episode, I'm not going to get into story spoilers, but there was a moment where Caleb used the staff to cast a spell. They counterspelled it. That should have not have happened.
But then he also counterspelled another. He dispelled an item, I should say.
Well, no, he dispelled it. Dispel is okay, but at the same point, they also counterspelled the Cape of the Montebac, which should not be possible because it's an imbued item. So it's not the fact that Matt sat there and it's like, I'm going to counterspell you. They did it to him as well. Yeah. But as far as items go, I don't believe you can counterspell an item. You can dispel an item with your action to dispel, like what they did with the winged boots. That's perfectly fine. That's what it's there for. But counterspelling an item like a staff like that, in my opinion, that doesn't happen because you're using the innate magic of the magic item.
So,
Yeah,
as far
I
as
also agree with
reactions
that
and
one.
counterspelling is going, as I am a huge fan of Cobalt Press and the work that they do, and I love Deep Magic. One of the spells in there is freeze potion. So if you are using a potion, you can freeze it so that way they can't use the potion. So it's like a
Oh.
counter spell on a potion.
Oh.
And
That's pretty
so
slick.
some people are very, you can't counter spell a heal or whatever. I
Well, it
somewhat agree
depends.
with
Like,
that. I mean,
well, no, the thing is,
I'm
like healing word is a bonus action. I don't think you
yeah,
shouldn't be able. But as far as like the spell
like a
heal,
healing spell, yes. Like a
yes,
healing action, I would say yes. Like a healing bonus action, I am very, I am very much of what is the cost, time consuming of it.
correct. And then also, I
As
also want to bring in the question for Viper again, since he's talking. Uh, the reason why people say I'm going to counterspell two after the DM says fireball, because usually the DM will be like, okay, this person casts fireball. They don't say, most DMs don't say they're gathering magic from the weave and, describing the spell and then holding you in suspense, like, what spell is it? Most DMs are going to be like, okay, they're going to cast, name
yeah,
of spell, but they don't say at what level typically. So depending on if it's a third to ninth level, that's where the mystery of the counterspell comes into play, because they don't know of, like, well, should I cast counterspell at third level? That's kind of where it gets game breaky. But if they say that, now the one thing is, if they say that if they say I'm going to cast fireball at sixth level, and then the player's just like, well, I'm going to cast counterspell at sixth level, that's metagaming straight up.
yeah.
That's metagaming.
Like even going back to the one shot I do with you, and towards the end, someone cast power word kill,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, and then I'm like, I'm gonna cast counter spell, and while I might not know power word kill,
Yeah.
yes, I'm seeing that the spell is, he's pointing at me, he's trying to kill me. You're like, oh no, you can't cast that I have a level. I'll agree with you. I might not know that it's power word kill, but okay, what's the, he cast I think it was disintegrate or
Yeah.
something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, he cast disintegrate at me. I would, by instinct, try to counterspell that at
Mm-hmm.
least, at the very minimum. Um, and then also, once again, circling back to Pathfinder 2E, uh, I think there's something like counterspelling. You can counterspell something off of, by default, you can counterspell something off of your spell list without a roll or something like that.
Yeah. But that's
It
hard.
yeah,
That's hard to do, because then you have to sit there and just be like, what spell is it? I need
yeah.
to
I
roll an
mean,
Arcana
but
check to figure
then
out. Yeah.
also, again, they also have like rules for identifying spells as well. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so something is being cast. Well, roll your Arcana check to see if you know what the spell is or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I love and hate Pathfinder.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I think
I so much want to play
yeah.
Pathfinder. I just don't want to DM it. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say.
Dude, there's a lot there's a lot, like,
Eventually, there's a lot of games.
I have the Pathfinder 2 ebook that is like, like a brick. I haven't opened it yet cuz it's too much. But
I have it. I have it. I also, when they did the latest Humble bundle, I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll buy into that as well. So I got the physical bestiary, physical
Dude,
rule book.
I didn't buy into that one. I can't. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
see it soon enough.
sorry. I'm sorry. But yes, that's whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
but
we'll skip on that for now.
yeah, but
We'll tackle that in another topic.
yeah, we'll definitely sit down and do another one of these, but we are reaching the 3 hour mark. I think this is where we're gonna end it for this time. If you guys have any questions, be sure to join the Discord. Use !mark Discord, and there are in the D&D section, if you choose the D&D subtopic for the D&D role, ask us questions. There are questions that you can ask us, and then we will, if we get an abundance of questions, we will answer them next time, because we want to do we
Also,
want to do this. Yeah.
be or her over Twitter.
Yeah, or over Twitter. If you use the hashtag, you know what, we'll make a hashtag. You know, hashtag Misfit Menagerie. If you use the hashtag Misfit Menagerie. I have no clue what you're saying right now.
Direct message me and
Oh.
maybe I'll reply with my hot take
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, or just DMs Lamus, and
I will make all of you angry at me
in
promise.
private, in private,
in private, in public,
in public, and I'm not gonna go
any
there.
forum and any situation. You can invite me to your wedding, and I will tell you not to marry someone.
Oh my god. All right. But everybody, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on our first little podcast. Well, we're gonna eventually do this again with more of the cast later on. We plan on doing a arc recap every time an arc ends. So we'll be able to get, you know, little tidbits and stuff like that, and, you know, do different things, and then we'll definitely come back for doing these podcasts in the future. So be sure, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, to like, share, subscribe. If you like this kind of you know, short form content, because I will be splitting this up. If you've noticed, if you got into this part, they are split up into smaller digestible parts to have, so you can enjoy it. So
yes.
if you guys,
yes, Mr. Black Magic Cat or whatever in the Twitch chat,
yeah,
I do embrace violence and chaos.
yes. If you would like to join us live, there's a link to the Twitch channel in the description below, to where you too can rage. But
I will rage for you.
But on that note, if you are in the Twitch chat, and maybe if you guys decide to come join us, you can do this as well. If you are, we are going to run away before Lamus riots. If you are in the Twitch chat, use the sub raid. If you are not a sub, use the normal raid.
I will start a mosh pit right now.
Do it.
If I have to.
Do it. We are going to actually, the Amy So riot is actually fitting, because get your riots ready, because we are gonna go say hi to Amy sometimes. She's playing Final Fantasy 14 currently, and you all could use some hype. So let us say hi to Amy sometimes. We love your faces. I will see you guys tomorrow for some Final Fantasy 14. Until then, guys, bye bye. We're gonna go raid.